Morning class 11. So today we are going to start with our literature section. So we'll start with the poetry. Right? Our poetry book is Rêverie. I'll send you the pic of the book. Take that book. So children, before starting the poem, let me give you an introduction. The first poem we will take is our John Brown. I sent you the syllabus 3 or 4 days back. I hope you might have written it in your notebooks. Fine. So the first poem we will take is John Brown. Okay. So John Brown is written by Bob Dylan. Okay. And this is an anti-war poem. You have already read an anti-war poem in your class 10 after Blenheim. Fine. So similarly, this poem, it is an anti-war poem. This was written in 1962. Clear? And this poem, it tells the story of a young man, John Brown, who proudly marched off to war. His mother expect him to perform wonders in the war, to win a lot of medals. She instructed him to follow the orders of his captain. Clear? John Brown went off happily, but after the war, when he came back, his condition was worst. Clear? When he left for the war, he was a handsome young man, but when he went back, one of his hand was blown off, one of his eyes was blown off. Clear? He was not able to stand properly. So when his mother saw his condition, she was frightened. She couldn't recognize her son. Fine. So at the end of the poem, John Brown gave the medals to his mother. Now, children, just keep in mind that before First World War, the wars were glorified by the poets. The war was the theme of the many of the poems. Many of the great poems, clear, were based on war. War was glorified by the people. To be the part of the war was a matter of honor. But after First World War, the concept of people has been changed. A group of a few poets were there who were against the war, who wrote against the war. Clear? So similar, this poem, it tells us about the futility of the war, how futile the war are. Since long time, wars has been fought at the cost of the innocent lives. Fine. And in this poem, no specific war is given, so that's why the poem is having a universal appeal. Clear? And as we have read in After Blenheim, that the supposedly just causes of this war, it is not known to the civilians. Clear? On not only to the civilians but also the soldiers who are fighting the war, even they do not know anything about the cause of the war. Clear? So they are just the puppets in the hands of the warmongers. War is discussed by the people over a cup of tea in their chambers, who has never been the part of this war in reality. Fine. So in this poem, through the character of John Brown, the poet Bob Dylan, he has depicted the fatality of the war. He has depicted how fatal a war can be. Clear? John Brown was a young, handsome soldier, and he was ready to go in a war. And children, just keep in mind that there were two viewpoints. There are two persons in this poem who presents the different ideologies. One is John Brown's mother and one is John Brown. The John Brown's mother, she reflected those people who glorify the war. Clear? And John Brown, he represents those people who has been the part of this war and who know the fatality of the war, the futility of the war. Clear? So John Brown, he was ready to go for to fight a war. His mother was very proud of him. She when she saw her son dressed in army uniform. She was very happy. She boasted to her neighbors. Claire, she went to see off her son to the station and instructed him to follow his captain's command so that he can win a lot of medals. Fine. Uh, uh, in the beginning, she was getting letters from her son. Whenever she get a letter, she show it to her neighbors, and then suddenly the letter stopped coming. After 10 months, she received a letter that she can go to meet her son in the station. She went over there, but she couldn't find her son. When at the end everybody went off, she found a man came out. He was supported by the metal brace, clear metal belt. She couldn't recognize him. It is only when the man speaks she recognized that this man was her son. Fine. Okay, his face was all shot up, one of his eye hand was blown off. Clear, he was standing with a metal brace. This war, uh, though the war does not kill him physically, but leaves him shattered physically, mentally, psychologically. Fine. He has become so wretched that he could hardly speak. His mother was so frightened by his condition that she turned her face. So he called his mother and dropped all her medals in her hand, saying that this is all what she wants. And he told her that she was not there at his place. When he was fighting with the enemies, he found that they looked just like him and he couldn't make out why he's fighting with them. It is only while he was lost in his thoughts, suddenly a cannonball came and shot up his face. So this shows the futility of the war, how the innocent young people lost their lives in war. Clear? So children, this is there in John Brown. Tomorrow we will go with the text. So get ready with your books. Thank you.